Shalom, Yashrala. This your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise unto Yahawah, Bahashem, YAHAWASHI, Bahashem, or HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of great millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you. So I want to jump into this here article, not necessarily this article, but another article as well. But just observing these things that's coming, that's happening around us, part of, being a man of the Lord, the prophets were able to see things. All right. Like the scriptures say, blessed are your eyes to see the things that you see. All right. And going a little deeper into that, meaning what? Just like how anybody and everybody in the world can see this here article. Right. We all can look at this, but you know what I'm saying? Only the men of the Lord is going to be able to look at this in a spiritual way. All right. And spiritually discern the writing on the wall. All right. Because just like, there's certain things and certain signs that you'll be able to see, just like, let's say a mechanic, right? A mechanic, let's say you're not a mechanic. You don't really know too much about cars. You know how to get in the car and drive a car, right? And a mechanic, a really, really good mechanic or whatever, whatnot, they'll be like, I'm Slovakia. They'll be like, what kind of problem you having with your car? You're like, I don't know, it's making some kind of weird noise. Or what kind of noise is it making? Oh, it's making this here knocking noise. Well, is it a fast knock, a slow knock? Is it a heavy knock or a light knock? They can be able to diagnose the car just by, spiritually looking at it like that, more metaphorically saying, like, well, I'm diagnosing the car, or like you go to certain types of doctors or whatever, whatnot, they can look at your eyes or whatever, whatnot, and they can tell you what type of sickness that you have, just because they're able to so-called look at you in a certain type of way where, your eyes aren't trained to see these types of things. Certain people can see certain type of problems, if you're highly trained in that area, you know what to look for. All right. And so, Lord willing, we'll be able to get through this here lesson without all these problems. But nevertheless, the men of the Lord, they have that same ability. All right. But they're able to see, all right, these spiritual things that's spiritually happening. They can see the writing on the wall that the Most High is writing for us. He left us a message, right? Just like in the scriptures, right? You go to Daniel chapter, Daniel chapter 12. All right, they talk about the books being closed until the time of the end. All right, and then you go into Revelation chapter 5, where it says that nobody was able to open the book or look there inside, talking about these scriptures. All right, see if I can get that off the screen. But nevertheless, when you go to Revelation 14, it says that YAHAWASHI. All right, well, Revelation 5 says that YAHAWASHI was the only one that was able to open the book, to be able to reveal all the secrets inside the scriptures. All right, now the scriptures also say that the Comforter was going to come and he was going to teach us all things, which is the spirit of YAHAWASHI, right? So nevertheless, fast forwarding to Revelation 14, it says that, YAHAWASHI was standing there with the 144,000 and they were singing a new song that nobody could know. All right, going a little deeper into that new song is basically what it's talking about. All of that is breaking down this. All right, the Bible was written, right? Anybody can open the Bible up and read the Bible, right? But you're not going to be able to get the understanding or the breakdowns of the Bible unless you was what? A man of the Lord, which YAHAWASHI revealed the secrets unto you. All right, like I said, when you go into Revelation 5, it tells you that nobody was able to open the book and look therein. All right. But we all know that anybody and their mama can open up a Bible and read the Bible. All right. It's not talking about that. It's talking about you're not going to be able to understand or see the prophecies that's in there. You're not going to be able to, like everybody in church nowadays, here in America, they go to church for so many years, whatever, whatnot. They thinking about this and that and how they're so included in the Bible, but they're not even smart enough to recognize, like, well, I can read about Egypt in the Bible. I can read about Rome in the Bible. I can read about, basically like Persia, if they understand that Persia is Iran, they can read about all these different places that still basically name the same shit today, for, a couple of places, they still name the same thing today, but they would never ask themselves, where is America? I remember as a really young child, picking up the Bible, not really understanding what the hell it really was or whatever, whatnot. But, I knew it was a spiritual book. Something was a little weird about it or whatever, whatnot. I was a real little kid. But one day I just happened to be flipping through the pages and, I was coming across words like Babylon and Nebuchadnezzar, and I didn't know what the hell that shit was, right? But then when I came across the word Rome, the word Egypt and stuff, it took me back. I was like, oh, hold up, wait a minute. This is talking about where we at right here on the planet Earth. These places are here on Earth. All right. So you're able to see those things. But when you go to these churches, you never think, well, where the fuck is America at in the Bible? All right. Because nowhere in the Bible does it say America. All right. So the people in the churches and stuff like that here in America, some kind of way they understand, well, they've been taught that, about religion, but nevertheless, they're not smart enough to even see themselves inside the scriptures. They just reading about these people. They don't even think that they are these people. They're talking about where you at right now. They can't see that. But what? The spiritual men or the men of the Lord, they can see these things, all right? This is what, when you go in the Old Testaments, right, they talk about the prophets, they call them what? Seers. They were able to see things that the average man couldn't see, all right? Just like the, we always use the same parable all the time. It's like, yo, we spiritual weathermen. All right. Not any and everybody can sit out there and tell you the weather forecast just by looking up into the sky. But what? You got meteorologists and things like that that's trained in that area to be able to basically diagnose the weather, more or less to say, be able to look at certain things like, okay, because of this here pressure's coming in this way, this here wind going that way, this here high pressure, low pressure, whatever, whatnot, it's going to cause this effect. All right. They can be able to see these things. All right. It's the same way the men of the Lord, like I said, they were called seers. All right. The same thing. We spiritual weathermen. We forecasting the future based off of these here prophecies that we was revealed in the scriptures. All right. So it's a beautiful thing to be able to have these eyes to be able to see these things. All right. To read the writing on the wall. All right. Because it's not open to everybody. Like I said, everybody can read these here articles and see all the same things and all the things that we see. All right. Hell, they can watch all of our videos, but also in the book of Daniel, it says that basically, roughly paraphrasing, the righteous, they're going to be able to understand this. All right. But the wicked, they're not going to understand. All right. And that's talking about the wicked of our people, because this is not for Esau. This is not for Esau anyway. All right. Well, he can understand that he an Edomite, he going into slavery, but yet like these prophecies and things like that, he's not going to really understand these things like that. All right. Or nor these other nations. All right. But nevertheless, you have our people or everybody else that's pretty much blinded to this, so they don't see this. So they think it's weird that, when we come out on the highways and the byways, we tell you that first and foremost, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are the Israelites, and you're going to start coming together, so on and so forth. Now they're starting to see these things happening, right? But they didn't see that, 2-3 years ago. All right. But now they're starting to see these things come to pass. All right. We tell you about what you call UFOs, what we call the chariots of the Most High. All right. We was telling you about those things. You call us crazy, whatever, whatnot. But now what people are talking about, interdimensional beings and things like that. All right. So now these people are starting to see, certain people are starting to see these things. All right. We were telling you about World War III coming on, and Russia's going to be our enemy. All right. Well, America's enemy. All right. But then now all of a sudden you see these things come to pass. All right. So this is what the men of the Lord's job is to do, to tell you, what is that? Ezekiel 3:17 says, hear the word of my mouth and give them warning from me. All right. Talking to our people, give them warning, let them know. All right. I made the watchman into the house of Israel. All right. So the watchman has to stand on top of the tower and watch for the coming troubles. All right. And nevertheless, this is what our job is to do, to sit here and how do I say, filter these here articles and take the signs that the Most High is giving us, right? And translating it to you for our people to be able to understand these things. All right. We're basically the encoders or the ciphers to break the Most High's code. Well, not to break the Most High's code, but to translate it unto you. All right. Because the Most High is not going to talk to everybody directly. All right. Just like back in the day in Egypt, right? Well, the people wanted to talk to the Most High, but they realized, like, yo, dog, fuck that. We gonna die if we talk to his ass, because we scared as fuck. You see what I'm saying? And we really in that same position. Not everybody, you know what I'm saying? Especially the ones that's going to hear this here word. Not everybody's going to want to be a preacher and a teacher and things like that. All right. That's a way heavier task than just, let's say like the 1/3 is going to just hear this and get this and, repent and come back. All right. But nevertheless, you got the example with Noah and his children, right? Life was a lot harder for Noah because Noah had to sit there and preach and build the ark. His sons, all they had to do was listen and believe. You see what I'm saying? So it's going to be how do I say? You're going to have a message to be sent, right? The Most High is sending this here message, right? But what? Just, like let's say the 1/3, they need a teacher. They trying to learn, more or less to say. The Lord is putting his spirit on his men of the Lord, like the scriptures say, the Lord won't do anything unless he reveal his secrets unto his servants, the prophets, right? So now the prophets are going to go out there and, like I said, give the people warning. All right. Back in those days, like I said, in Egypt, our people wanted to go and talk to the Most High, but they were scared. Like I said, this here task, once you put your hand onto the plow, hey, man, that's hey, man, you don't want to release that damn plow, man. I'm telling you right now, you don't want to really release that plow. All right. And not everybody's going to be strong enough to sit there and walk that walk like that. All right. Now, you might be a 1/3 and listening and everything like that. But what? You put your hand on this here plow, you're going to have a whole nother burden on your back. All right. It's a lot different. Just like I said with Noah and his sons. All right. Noah had a heavier burden than his sons did. All right. His sons had to just hearken and listen and believe unto their father. The father had to actually build an ark, go out there, prophesy and preach, just giving little examples of how it's a little bit more laborious than just listening. All right. Same with these things. We have to go in and read and research we spiritually building this here ark by what? Constantly reading these here articles and researching and going into all these different things and putting things together, filtering things, going through the scriptures, reading the scriptures, and then going back out, putting these here videos together and putting them out for you listeners, you sincere listeners to be able to sit here and eat. Like the scriptures say, make it plain on the table and make it so that he that readeth can run with it. All right. So just like I said, man, we doing all this here work. All right. Or let me give you a different example. Noah and the ark. Noah's sitting out there building, got to get all that wood and whatnot. Right. But his sons, all they had to do is listen and hearken. Noah made it easy for everybody else. Right. So all the sons had to do is really go out, or anybody else had to do is go out like, yo, it's some nigga over there building a goddamn boat, man. Y'all might want to go listen to what he talking about. You see what I'm saying? All you had to do is go over there and look. Noah didn't have to go, you know what I'm saying? All you had to do is show up and listen, right? Just like in today's times, again, we going out doing all the research and all this and that and the reading and the studying and so on and so forth. We record these videos. All you got to do is log on to YouTube and click on the video and sit back and listen and learn, throw some headphones on you in college. You know what I'm saying? You getting that degree. All you got to do is show up and listen, click a play button. And it's easy for you to pick it up and run with it because, see, like I said, you don't have to go through and go to RT, get this here article, do some background research on who these people are and going through the scriptures and try to figure out all these different things. By the time you get it, it's already compiled together. And if you like it or whatnot, you feel it's that powerful, you want to do some help, click the share button and find out whoever you want to share to, whatever platform you want to share to, and boom. You see what I'm saying? Like, I keep mentioning this, the YouTube creator app, man. You can go in there, look at your analytics, and you can see where a lot of your views are coming from, man. I get the biggest percentage of views, and I believe it's like 70-something% of my views that come from not on YouTube, all right, are on Facebook, right? And I ain't had a Facebook since MySpace days. You see what I'm saying? Like, well over 10 years ago. You see what I'm saying? So I don't got no Facebook to be sharing my videos on, but nevertheless, somebody else it's easy for them to take, my videos are, tend to be pretty long with a lot of information in there, but somebody can sit there and download my video, click my video, they can re-upload it to YouTube, they can sit there and share it on these social media platforms or whatnot, it's easy. Like I said, it's easy for them. It's easy for them to run with. All right. This is our job to sit here and, decipher these things and give it to you. Just again, like the weatherman. All right. They go out there and they figure out the forecast, whatnot. Then they go out there on a news broadcast and they tell you what the news is going to be. All right. And it's easy for you to run with that, pick it up and run with it and spread it out. All you got to do is hit the share button nowadays. All right. So we're going to go ahead and into this here article. I want to give that little intro to why this is all important. And, when people are looking at some of these things and they're like, why are y'all talking about this and that? You got to put all these dots together and see what the bigger picture is, man. You got to see. Just like that one game where they be guessing the letters and shit with the girl Vanna White on there. What was it? Wheel of Fortune, I think it is. Nevertheless, it's, that game with the little letters. They got to try to guess the phrase or the word or whatnot. You got a majority of these here letters. All right. And now you could just sit there and pretty much figure out what the word is. All right. Or what the statement is. All right. That's pretty much where we at now. All right. So nevertheless, I'm going to go ahead and get into this here article and we're going to grab some scriptures. All right. Because we coming into some heavy times, man. All right. These so-called contractions are getting closer and closer and closer and closer. All right. So with this here article, I just wanted to really pull out this here, the title of this here article and this here picture. All right. It says, with all due respect, Stalin approving Russians don't want to live in his time. But nevertheless, let me get to the next article and I'll get into, what the gist of it is. All right. Now, this one here says almost half of Russians see USSR collapse as shameful. All right. So now, if you know anything about the USSR, right? The USSR was what? The United Soviet States of Russia, I believe is what it was. I believe it was the United Soviet States of Russia. But nevertheless, what it is basically a conglomeration of these nations that was together as Russia. So like if you see Russia today, all right, Russia is pretty much, after the fall of what they call the Iron Curtain in the USSR, all right, Russia became a lot smaller. It broke up into not to say the mainland of Russia, but, on the outskirts of it. All right, those countries like Bulgaria and stuff like that, they all pretty much broke away, right? But nevertheless, the Ukraine and so on and so forth, like we had that so-called Ukraine incident where America was trying to say, oh, Russia stole Ukraine. Well, in reality, the Ukraine kind of broke off from, it was a part of Russia to begin with. It kind of broke off from Russia after the USSR fell. All right. And now they joining back up together. All right. That's the same thing as, like, let's say, you got America, right? And then you keep hearing about the Texas, where Texas trying to keep talking about what they call that, succeeding from the Union or whatnot. California also talking about the same thing. So let's just imagine Texas succeeding from the Union, right? From the United States, right? Now, all of a sudden, now we know that for the longest time, Texas has been a part of the United States. All right, it wasn't always, but it has, for the longest time been a part of the United States. Now, let's say all of a sudden, America decides to take Texas back. Like, well, it was a part of the United States to begin with. The people that's in Texas, it's not a whole other nationality, another country. They still Americans. It's not really, you see what I'm saying? It's the same shit. All right. But nevertheless, let me get into this article. It says almost half of Russians see USSR collapse as shameful. All right. Now, the gist of this here article of what's the importance of all these things is what? And I had been seeing this in the last couple of days on some articles or whatnot. I didn't really think it was very important at the beginning, but to keep seeing these same signs coming to pass over and over and over again, like, why the hell y'all keep talking about these old ass leaders? All right. And then the things that they talk about, you keep hearing about Joseph Stalin, you keep hearing about Adolf Hitler and all these different things. They keep talking about these same people from World War II that they kept saying was so-called not to say, villains, more or less to say, these were so-called bad people, whatnot. So why are these people keep being put in the news, and why are they so-called being praised? In certain circumstances, in certain times and periods or whatnot, you would be looked at as crazy by even bringing up certain people's names. You go into a public place and start having a conversation about Hitler. All right. And then people start looking at you weird. Like, why are you talking about Hitler, bro? That's like talking about the damn devil. We need to forget about him. All right. So you have to ask yourself, why are these people being brought up in this time? All right. In this time frame right now. All right. And look at the other things that's going on around. All right. So it says almost half of Russians see USSR collapse as shameful. All right. It says now these articles, I don't want you to focus in on the polling about living under Stalin or, the USSR as being shameful. Well, the USSR. Right. The part is how they keep bringing this back up, is bringing these people back up into this here spirit, all right, which is all scriptural, and we're going to grab that. It says, the collapse of the Soviet Union considered a reason to be ashamed by 45% of Russians, according to the recent opinion poll. The only opinion that scored higher is Russia's failure to eradicate poverty. The poll, conducted in late 2018 by Levada Center, is its latest study of what Russians are proud of and ashamed of about their nation. The demise of the USSR saw a rebound in popularity from a low point in 28% in mid 2015 as the level compared with in the late 1990s and the early 2000s. The only one more popular answer, Russia's failure to eradicate poverty, which was named as a reason to be ashamed by 61% of the people polled. This answer has topped Levada's poll for decades. Russians are also ashamed of fellow countrymen treating each other disrespectfully, 37%. Russia's failure to catch up with the economy and with the Western powers, 24%. The outcome of Mikhail Gorbachev reform, 24%. And Joseph Stalin's reign of terror, 21%. All right. So just continuing on, it says, on the national opposite side of Russia's national security, or Slovakia, Russia's national identity are the qualities and event people are proud of. Defending Nazi Germany in World War II remains one of the things Russians are overwhelmingly proud of 87%. There's also a role that the country played in the space exploration. About half are proud to belong to a space pioneer nation. The third most popular opinion option is accepting Crimea, the breakaway former Ukrainian region, as part of Russia again, which is seen as a point of national pride by 45%. Many people are also proud of Russian literature, science, martial prowess, Soviet-era industrialization, and best qualities of Russian character like resolve and patience. All right, a record of 75% said Russia is definitely most likely a great nation today, while 88% believe it should be one. There's no apparent correlation between wishing greatness for Russia and regretting the USSR collapse. It says the agency noted, suggesting that Russians expect a great nation to first and foremost provide social justice and protection. 62% said Russians are a great people. Lovato remarked that 80% of the people polled identified themselves as Russian. When asked what make people feel connected to their people, when asked what makes them feel connected to their people, most respondents named national history, 53% Russian land, 35% their place of birth, 33% the nature that they call their own, 25%. The formal national symbols include the flag, the coat of arms, the national anthem was the least popular option, 5%. Interestingly, religion is a relatively small factor in Russian national identity. All right, so I just wanted to read through that real quick just to give you a little backdrop of all these things. But now let me grab some scriptures here. Give me 1 second, Salah. So as we see in these two different articles, right, the gist of these articles are what they talking about, right? Joseph Stalin and the USSR. And like I said, in the last couple of days, they've been bringing up, this isn't the first, obviously it's not the first article. I showed you two different articles, but these aren't the first couple articles talking about bringing Joseph Stalin back up, bringing up the USSR again, bringing up Adolf Hitler again, or bringing up World War II or Nazi Germany, you know what I'm saying, and all these things, and talking about these things, and not necessarily talking about them in a demonization way, all right? These things are just being brought back up and reminding these people, you know, talking to the people in Germany, just bringing up that time frame of Nazi Germany, you know, is, how do I say, sometimes, not to say disrespectful, but some people will look at it like, nah, we don't really want to talk about that. Same with the USSR. That was in our past. Just like here in America, when people talk about going back to slavery days, you know, you wouldn't have a conversation with Americans here. You know, you go into a crowded room with people, you know, hey, man, remember back in slavery days, how good it was to round up this and that? Maybe in a group of a whole bunch of old Edomites or whatever, whatnot, but just in a regular setting with just regular people in America, people will kind of look at you a little weird, like, yo, dog, we don't really talk about that in public, bro. That's not what we talk about, all right? But again, you have to understand the writing on the wall and what the Lord is telling us, all right? The Lord is giving the men of the Lord these signs, telling them, look, get your shit together, bro. All right, let me start with that real fast. Let me just get straight to the point. This is Matthew 24 and 32. Wait, let me go to verse 3 first. Matthew 24 and 3 says, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, and the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming in the end of the world? Now, here YAHAWASHI is going to explain to them all these different signs, all right? Now, when you go to verse 32, it says, now learn the parable of the fig tree. When his branches yet tender, put forth and putteth forth leaves, you know summer is not. So likewise, when you see all these things, know that it is near, even at the door. Now, let me actually go back up to verse 6, I think it is. Yep, it says, Matthew 24 and 6, some of the signs, it says, and you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. And all these things are the beginning of sorrows. So this is all the beginning of sorrows, the beginning of the ends. All right. And YAHAWASHI said, look, learn the parable of the fig tree, you know. And I like to break that down a little further in the layman's terms, because I know a lot of our people, sometimes they struggle with some of these dark parables. But what? To retranslate it, to give you another parable on top of that, like, yo, dog, learn what your dashboard lights mean inside your car. I'm giving you driving lessons for the first time, man. Learn what the, how do you say? Learn what the instrument panel lights mean. When you see that little, Salakia, when you see that little gas, light up on your car, understand what that means. Like, yo, dog, you driving on the highway, you know, you driving from state to state on the road trip, that little gas light come on. Just know your ass need to take an exit. Go get you some gas before your ass be on the side of the road walking. You see what I'm saying? Learn these here parables. Learn what's going on. Learn what your surroundings. Learn what the things, the signs and the signals are telling you around you. All right? So the same thing that we doing right here. I quoted this earlier. Let me grab it real quick. Ezekiel 3 and 17. It says, son of man, I've made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. So going back to Matthew 24, when it says, learn the parable of the fig tree. All right, going back to Matthew 24 and 3, where the Lord said, well, when the disciples asked, When should be, what is the sign of thy coming and the sign of the time of the end? All right. So YAHAWASHI gave it in the breakdown, like, yo, here go all the signs. When you see these shits come to pass, again, learn the instrument panels. Hey, man, what these lights mean inside the car, man? All right, this light mean that light mean that light mean that. When you see this here light, come on, take your ass over to the gas station, get you some gas for your ass be walking. All right, learn what those lights mean for your ass be walking, be caught off guard. We was set up to be a watchman to warn you, to let you know, like, bro, that gas light on you, your ass need to go get you some gas for you be in some big trouble. You see what I'm saying? So this is what we out here doing. So all these things are coming to pass. So it says, Son of man, I made thee a watchman into the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word of my mouth and give them warning from me. All right. So again, like I'm saying, we out here trying to tell you what these signs mean. So these signs are all around. All right. All these different gas lights are popping up. But what? The driver of the car don't understand what these damn lights mean. So it's our job to go out here and tell you, like, yo, man, this is what these here signs mean. All right. Take heed to these signs. All right. So let me read Ezekiel 3:17 again. Son of man, I made thee a watchman into the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word of my mouth and give them warning from me. So this is what we out here doing. So going back into these here articles about Joseph Stalin, the USSR, Adolf Hitler, Nazi Germany, World War II, all these different things. Why the fuck we keep talking about all these things? This shit is in the past. We're supposed to be getting over these things, right? You know, according to American society, whatever, whatnot. They be like, Doc, why y'all talking about this shit in the old time? That was a dark time in history. We don't want to go look back on those times. They want to tell you to forget about these things, all right? But nevertheless, these are the things that's going on around you, shaping up to what these prophecies is coming to pass. All right. So let me get into the, the prophecies that are being shaped up right now. All right. So this is Ezekiel 38:2. It says, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him. All right. Now this is dealing with Russia. All right. So it says, and he said, and say, thus saith Yahweh power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. So now this is just a quick cut to those who, might look at these things and certain things like, why y'all always, when you hear on the news talking about Russian bots, this is code name for us. They're not going to come out and just tell us these things. You know what I'm saying? But the stupid people around there that just be looking at us for face value might think that we some kind of Russian bots or we got anything to do with Russia, motherfucker. We ain't got shit to do with Russia, man. To tell you the truth. But to understand where they coming from in these things is because, when we read these here prophecies like the one we're about to go into, all right, some people could take that as, oh, yeah, we rooting for Russia, this and that. Nah, motherfucker, we not rooting for them. They Edomites as well, too. But we do know that they're going to wind up basically popping up this thing that, they're going to basically be the ones that put the TNT on our goddamn prison door and pop the lock so we can get the fuck up out of here, all right? So they kind of going to be doing us a favor, but in the end, they Edomites, they still going into captivity, too. All right. And the Most High really he don't like them either. They Edomites as well. So, you know what I'm saying? And then also things like, hey, I brought out some articles coming out of RT. A lot of the times we use RT for, bringing out certain articles and things like that because it's not heavily, heavily inundated with propaganda like the mainstream state-run American media, which is like CNN, MSNBC, and all these different things, So people will take that like, oh, see, y'all always reading out of RT and y'all always bigging up Russia gonna kill America, this and that. Like, nah, it ain't like that at all, bro. You got the game kind of fucked up. You just think these things are like that because, you don't have the eyes to see these things, all right? So going back into the article, it says, or into the scriptures, it says, and say, thus saith Yahweh power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. Slocky, give me 1 second. It says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaw. Slocky, give me 1 second. It says, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. All right. So what is this talking about? All right. It's kind of like you going fishing, right? You done caught you a big ass fish. The fish then took the bait and started swimming straight down with the bait, right? Now all of a sudden you starting to reel him in. When you catch the fish, that's what you do. You start reeling him in. You bring the fish back in, like, yeah, you might want to swim off, whatever, whatnot. But I'm slowly reeling your ass back in. All right. So this is what the Most High is saying. Look, it says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. Right. This is heavily going right back into what? Go back to the USSR, right? USSR, World War II, man. You had the USSR was this big conglomeration of nations, which, you go a little deeper. You understand how they put two sides against each other. But nevertheless, when you look at these things, all right, Russia was this big conglomeration of nations, which was the so-called, what they called the Red Scare. They was the boogeyman back in the day. All right. But then what? Mikhail Gorbachev, and I believe it was Ronald Reagan. All right. They wound up, what they say, he destroyed the Iron Curtain or whatever, the Red Curtain or whatever, whatnot. You know what I'm saying? They wanted to bring down that wall. Mr. Gorbachev bring down the wall or whatever, whatnot, which in turn basically broke down the USSR. That's why you don't have the USSR today. You have what they call I think it's called I think at the time it was just called Russia. Now I believe it's called the Russian Federation. And what you see this prophecy taking place, right? This is now Russia is slowly but surely becoming, you know, bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, it's going back into that USSR state. Because like I said, you know, it then lost. You know, if you go back and you look at the USSR map and then you look at, you know, Russia, let's say in the year 2000, or yeah, you just go look at a map of Russia in 2000 and you go look at the USSR. You'll notice that the Russia in 2000 was way smaller than the USSR. But now you look at a map of Russia today, all right, it's a little bit bigger than what Russia was in like 2000. You got like, I believe, Georgia, because they had, I believe, when George Bush was in office, they had the war over in Georgia, Russia. Then you had Crimea, all right, and, you know, Russia slowly but surely taking other places as well, too. All right, but nevertheless, Russia is gaining back in that same state. You know, after the fall of the Soviet Union, Russia fell into a damn economic depression. All right, their economy collapsed. You know, for people who was thinking Russia was strong or whatever, whatnot, Russia was a piece of shit, man. All right, it wasn't until around the time when George Bush was in office, when Vladimir Putin came into office. All right, Vladimir Putin came into office. I can't tell you the exact here, but it was around the time when George Bush was still in office. All right. That was the beginning of these hooks being put back into the jaws of Russia. Because before Vladimir Putin, like I said, man, Russia was a bullshit ass country, man. They was broke. They was going broke. This was at the end of the USSR, man. The economy was a hellhole. It was all fucked up. They military was all fucked up. They people was they pride was all fucked up because they was like, yo, dog, y'all just took away from us our pride, you know? It's like somebody coming over to America, breaking up America, you know what I'm saying? They not the proud, whatever, whatnot, you know? They all broke up. So that's what happened to Russia, you know, giving you a backdrop of their history, all right? But since Vladimir Putin came into office, all right, these are those hooks being put back into their jar. Because Vladimir Putin's main goal was what? This is what gained him all this popularity. Look, fuck that. We're going to come in here. We're going to kick out the Illuminati. These, what they call them? The Russian, what they call them? Like Russian, like here you would have you would have these elite bankers or whatever, whatnot, the ones that run the shit for real. It ain't the Donald Trumps and shit that run shit over here. It's the elites that run everything over here, the elite bankers, right? The same shit over there. They had the same elites or whatever, whatnot over there, just like in every country, all right? Vladimir Putin wound up getting rid of all these people, taking a lot of their money away from them, starting to put it back into the economy, start rebuilding their economic structure, their financial structure, their energy structure, all right, exporting energy. Russia wasn't really exporting a lot of shit back in the days now. Now you see Russia, what, exporting energy around the world, all right? We're going to get into the weapons, but that's another heavy thing. The economy is bouncing back, all right? They starting to trade with these other nations. Now they becoming a, you know, before, you know, even though Russia's still huge as fuck, all right? But nevertheless, beforehand, Russia wasn't really a threat to nobody, all right? They didn't really have the economy to fucking go to war with, like, let's say America. They didn't have the military to go to war with America. None of these things, all right? Like I said, they was a hellhole piece of shit country. They would have been just as good as fucking, like, Cuba, really. You see what I'm saying? They was a little more advanced than Cuba, but technically they was just as good as Cuba. All right. But like I said, Vladimir Putin got into office and those hooks being put back in the jaw. All right. Once you can look back at his whole reign from the time he got into office up until now, Russia's economy bounced back. All right. Their money is getting stronger and stronger. Their military, well, we're going to get into the military, but their, how do you say, the political ties internationally is getting stronger and stronger. All these other nations are starting to deal with them again. They're becoming a political power. All right, all these things are coming back for Russia. All right, they're being revived again. Not only that, they starting to get some of their nation states back. All right, rebuilding that USSR. All right, they're getting that same mind state for Russia first. Let's build back up for us. Let's protect ourselves from the rest of these people. Fuck being hand in hand with these people. We see where this shit got us, man. All right, they cornered us off. We're not going to be trying to go up under the rulership of these Western powers ruling over all of us. We're going to rule in our own hemisphere. We're going to be the head on our own side, all right? This is the mind that's in Russia's mind nowadays. They're not laying down being that bitch no more. Or, hell, you know, people make a lot of the references to Russia, you know, the Russian bear. All right, what do bears do? They hibernate for a long ass time. But when that bear wake up, he be waking up hungry as shit, man. He'll devour whatever's in his damn path. That's what you see going on with Russia. You know, you can have that one analogy, that bear waking up. Or what? Here, like the Most High said, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. I'm going to bring your ass back to that old state that you was in. When you was that big red dog devouring every damn thing, the USSR, yeah, we're going to bring you right back into that state, all right? So it says, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. I will bring thee forth, all right? Bring them back up into the world stage. Bring you back into the forefront, and back into the limelight, all right? It says, I will bring thee forth in all thy army, horses and horsemen, all of them. Now this, you know, like I said, he gonna bring them back. They military, economically, all these different things. But now we talking militarily. Like I said, Russia's military was, I mean, they did have they had, you know, the most amount of nukes, you know, I would say second to the United States. All right. They still are pretty much like number 2 with nukes, you know, the amount of nukes that they have. All right. They had the dead hand system, which was far superior to anything else that anybody else has still to this day. All right. And now they had like the S-125 and all those things like that. But nevertheless, you know, America had other systems as well. All right. But those old systems wasn't really on no kind of par or nothing. All right. But nevertheless, now you're starting to see them develop all these different things. All right. All these new missiles, you know, like I said, under Vladimir Putin's times, you had what? The Saramat 1, which is nicknamed by NATO and all them. They call that the Satan 1. All right. Which is an intercontinental ballistic missile, the biggest and the longest range missile to carry ICBMs. All right. Intercontinental ballistic missiles. All right, that's the largest of its size. All right, the Saramat 1, which they call the Satan 1. Then they upgraded the Satan 1 to the Satan 2. All right, where it can change its trajectory rate and change its path in flight and carry multiple warheads. All right, and have decoy warheads. You see what I'm saying? So, and change its speed. All right, which is very crucial to fending off against missile defense systems, because once they launch off, they on a set target path. All right, but then once you move out of that target path, I mean, the missile that was shot against it's not going to move. It's going to still be in that same path. All right. But nevertheless, these are the new advancements that Russia is making. All right. In this sector with their new military weapons. You got the Avangard, you know, these hypersonic missiles and shit like that. You got a nuclear powered cruise missiles, which what that means is the nuclear. You have like they got nuclear powered submarines, which the nuclear power is the fuel source. All right. So it's basically like you got a steam engine, but that's just not going to run out. You know what I'm saying? That heat's just like you got a steam engine in these old steam trains. Right. But you got to keep throwing wood or coal in there. Once you run out of wood and coal, I mean, eventually the shit's going to burn out. Right. But with nuclear power as your fuel, that shit's going to burn for like a lot longer than like really human beings would live. So it's really an unlimited fuel supply, because we wouldn't be around long enough to fucking see the end of it, right? We will wind up dying off. So when you have this as your fuel source, all right, and these submarines, motherfucker, you can be up underwater. You can literally have a drone underwater for 100 years, you know what I'm saying? Just patrolling the whole earth, all right? Or like they have in these new nuclear powered cruise missiles, all right? You can literally fire off a rocket and it could just be sitting out there flying around the whole earth indefinite, or for longer than what human beings would be living. So you will want that in a sense of missile defense systems. You shoot off your rocket, all right, and they launch off their missile defense systems, and all you got to do is keep outrunning that shit for as long, because eventually they gonna run out of gas and you not. Once they all run out of gas, you just come in for the attack. You see what I'm saying? All these things are, like I said, or like the scripture said, the Lord put these hooks back into the Russians' jaw, bringing them back to this here war state, all right, for a certain reason, basically to destroy America, to bring in this World War III, all right? They was there, and it was an integral part in what? World War I, World War II, and now they're going to be there in World War III, all right? They're going to be a main stake in that, all right? But, like I say, the masses wouldn't be able to see these things. They thought it was all over because of what? The creation of what they call that shit? It was the ECC? No, not the ECC. Damn, it didn't slip my mind what the name of it was before the UN. Before the UN, they had, I think it was called the League of Nations, right? Before the UN, it was the League of Nations, which was the answer to it, the World War One. We need to band together so this shit don't happen again. Then it did happen again. It was and then you had World War II. Then the end of that was what? The form of the UN, the United Nations, which is basically all the nations against Russia and them, right? You know, Russia's a part of that as well too, but it's all these nations against Russia and them. All right, and then you got the military arms of that force, right? You have well, NATO does have a UN peacekeeping army, which majority of that funding comes from America. But then you also have what? NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which comprises of basically the EU and then America and a couple other countries like Canada and so on and so forth. All right. But nevertheless, this is like another fighting branch, which is all aimed against Russia. All right. All these different things are being put up against Russia. All right. Russia wasn't in no state to really fight against these things because it was just them by themselves. And like I said, they had been depleted. But now they becoming a conglomeration again with their bordering nations again. All right. Not only that, they becoming an international partner with all these other nations like China, India, North Korea, Syria, Iran, all these other nations like that, Turkey. All right, they banding back together. They becoming a conglomeration of nations again. All right, bringing them back to that same state. All right, they upgrading their weapons and things like that. Like I said, they was done for. Now they coming back. All right, they being revived back. All right, so verse 4 again, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thy army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. All right, so let me just keep reading. It says, Persia, Ethiopia, Libya with them, all of them with shields and helmet. Gomer and his bands in the house of Tomogah of the north quarters and all his bands and many people with them. All right, be thou prepared and prepare thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. All right, so this is the commandment that the Most High is commanding towards Russia. Look, I'm going to bring thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. I'm going to put you back to that USSR state. All right, that red scare state. All right, that threat against America and the Western power and that Western threat state. I'm going to put you back into that state. Then I'm going to build you back up economically, internationally, with your international ties with these other nations, militarily. All right, and you're going to be the head to all these other nations militarily, man. You're going to be providing them weapons and all these things, man. You're going to be the main threat to the Western powers. Before, when we're looking at this here thing, this here paradigm, all right, in reality, the scare was NATO and America ganging up on Russia and them. So basically, Russia was in a defensive posture, like, damn, these niggas is ganging up on me. But now the Most High said, look, nigga, I'm about to bring y'all ass back, all right, to that same state where motherfuckers really gonna start fearing y'all ass, all right? Because right now, everything's all propaganda, Russian propaganda. They Russian fear. Like, yo, these niggas really ain't fucking with y'all like that. Same with Iran. Them niggas really ain't fucking with y'all like that. But if y'all keep fucking with them, they gonna be like, all right, I'm tired of your ass poking at me in the cage. I'm about to lash out and bite your ass. All right, that's the state that's going on. But at the end all be all, this is all prophecy according to the scriptures. All right, the Most High was going to set Russia back up for this here purpose. All right, this is why you starting to see these things happen. This is what the writing on the wall is all about. When you starting to see all these articles coming out about the Soviet Union and so on and so forth. No longer is it about this here Russian propaganda that America is spewing out about. Oh, Russian threat, Russian collusion, Russian hacking, Russian this, Russian that. That's them trying to, how do I say, predictively program your ass, all right, to think of Russia as the boogeyman. They need a boogeyman to keep financing their damn wars, to keep them going and plundering these other nations. However, the Most High is now raising up the spirit of these people to start putting this in these people's mind, all right, preparing them back to this here war state, all right, putting war back in these people's mind, all right. This is what you start to see these here articles about Joseph Stalin, the USSR, Nazi Germany, and Hitler, and all these different things. World War II keep popping back up. Why are we talking about this again? Getting you in that mind state, like, bro, you about to go into World War III, man. All right, now, you know, this generation is born now, never had to think about World War, none of these things, the Russians scared, none of these things, but now it's being put in the forefront, all right? Like we started out with, you're going to hear wars and rumors of wars, all right? These are all the beginning of sorrows. This is the beginning of the end, all right? So let me go on to the next scripture, all right? Talking about Russia and building up and being a guardian to these different nations, all right? Let's go into Jeremiah 51, verse 11. It says, make bright the arrows, gather the shields. Yahawah have raised up the spirit of the king of the Medes. All right, now this is also talking about the Russians as well, too. You know, you go back to these ancient maps and you look at these land masses and things like that. This is still talking about basically Russia. All right. Now, nevertheless, what's funny was back in the days when we was like, let's say, like when the time period when you watch the movie 300, right? Now, when you look at that empire, all right, the empire of, I don't even know how they called it in, I think they called it the Persian army in that movie. But nevertheless, with that nation was more or less called in that time frame was the Medo-Persian Empire. You can go back to like, you can read that in the book of Daniel. You can also read about that in, what is that? The book of Esther, right? Now, Esther was married to the dude in the movie 300, right? Xerxes. That was actually his wife. You know, you can read through all that and all those different things, all right? But nevertheless, when you read about, you know, that time frame and how that kingdom came into play, all right, that was two different kingdoms coming together. You had the Medo-Persian Empire, the Medes, and then the Persians. They was both, you know, coming together to be one empire, all right? So in modern day today, you haven't, not to say that they're going to become one major empire again today, but these here same spirits are being raised back up, and then they're going against the same person, all right? You have the Russians, and then you also have what? They being guarded to who? Iran, which is, Iran is a modern day name for Persia, all right? And we read that in what? Ezekiel 38. You know, he was going to be a guardian to what? Starting out with Persia and all that, you know, that's talking about Iran, all right? So it says, Jeremiah 51:11 again, it says, make bright the arrows. And then, just touching briefly on this, going a little further into ICBM missiles, make bright. All right. I ain't talking about, put some lights on these bow and arrows or whatever. What? First and foremost, we know these arrows are talking about, like basically missiles, right? Now, when you go further into all these, this is where we get the ICBM or intercontinental ballistic missiles. When you add, precept upon precept, when you look at all these different precepts about the arrows, some of them talk about, all you archers that bend the bow, the iron bow, the steel bow, all right, the bright and glittering spear, all right, or make bright the arrows, or from thence she shall be taken, or from one land to another land, these type of things. It'll give you a picture. It's not talking about a regular bow and arrow. This is talking about the modern day bow and arrow, which is, a weapon, a long range weapon, all right, that goes through and pierces, all right. We translate that modern day today into what? You have missiles, right? Now they're talking about making them bright, all right? You got what? Nowadays you're starting to see what? Smart missiles, right? You have guided, GPS guided missiles, heat guided missiles. You have thermal missiles. You have like I said, GPS missiles, all these different things. Also to say too, you can move around, change its course and so on and so forth. All these different things. They not like back in the days in World War II. World War One, where they had free fall bombs. Actually, in World War II is where they created what they call the V1 rocket. Wernher von Braun created the V1 rocket, which you had the V1 rocket, the V2 rocket. Hitler was the first person to come out with the fighter jets, jet propulsion engines. He was the first one to come out with that shit. Also rockets, actual rockets. Back in those days, we was using free fall bombs, just like in the same war when we dropped the first atomic bomb, all right, or the first nuclear bomb. All right, I believe it was a hydrogen bomb. All right, they dropped them out the sky, free fall. It wasn't shot no kind of way. All right, these were just free fall bombs. They was just dropping bombs out the sky. All right, but what? They made these arrows bright. They smartened them up to where you can launch them with missiles. And now you got GPS guided and so on and so forth. All right, but going back to Jeremiah 51:11, it says, make bright the arrows, gather the shields. All right, going into what? Russia is one of the main stakes is making and distributing these S-200, S-300, S-400 missile systems. All right, they the main stake. That's the big deal about Russia. They selling a lot of defensive weapons right now. All right, you're not really hearing them selling hypersonic missiles to nobody. You're not hearing them selling Satan 1 and Satan 2 missiles to nobody. They nuclear powered cruise missiles to nobody. They selling these missile defense systems. All right. So it says, make bright the arrows, gather the shields. Yahawah have raised up the spirit of the king of the Medes. For his device, all right, his weapons, all right, is against Babylon, all right, which is America, all right. So we know that all these things that Russia is doing is going to be ultimately, according to the scriptures and the prophecies, all right, is going to be aimed against America, all right. It says, for his device is against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of Yahawah, the vengeance of his temple, all right. So, well, let me read verse 12 again, too. It says, set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon. Make the watch strong. Set up the watchmen. Prepare the ambush, for Yahawah have both devised and have done what he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. Going right back into Ezekiel 3:17. Hey, I've made you a watchman to the house of Israel. That's what we out here doing. We out here crying unto our people. Look, nigga, fire, fire. The enemy coming. Look, prepare. All right, but we're not telling you prepare. Well, yeah, we telling you to basically doomsday prep, We telling you basically go get you a doomsday bunker, get you some doomsday food, stock up on food, all right? But not the same carnal way that they telling you. The doomsday bunker that we telling you to hide in is what? All right, the Lord's name is a strong tower, all right? The Lord is going to be your hedge. That's the strong tower. That's the doomsday bunker we trying to hide in, all right? He said he going to hide us up under his wing, all right? We're going to go up into his chambers, man. We trying to get the doomsday bunker that's above ground, not up under the ground. We trying to get up into them chariots, all right? And the only way to prep for that is through what? Through coming into these here scriptures, coming back to the law, statutes, commandments, ultimately being chosen by the Lord, all right? Then we also telling you to what? The doomsday prep with your food, all right? The scriptures say, Salaki, the man's not going to live by bread alone, but by every word of these scriptures, all right? And he that believeth on me, out of his belly shall flow the fountains of living water, all right? So this is going to be your food and your drink in those days, all right? Like the scriptures say, wisdom and knowledge should be the stability of thy time, all right? Blessed he that readeth. So this is that spiritual doomsday prep. So when you see these things, you're not taking off guard or whatever, whatnot. You know, you see World War III popping off, and you want to go and run and serve the American military and go fight for them, for this here country that you think is your country. You're going to think live on. Like, no, man, we trying to warn you. Stay the fuck away from that shit, man. This is that feast that the Lord is preparing to slaughter all these damn military men out here in Babylon, man. You don't want to be a part of that, man. You know, yeah, it sounds crazy, but you want to be right here in ground zero where these missiles coming down, begging for salvation, crying unto the Lord, Lord, come get me. Lord willing, he'll have mercy and hear you and have compassion on you and come down and save you in that day, man. That's your doomsday prep that we looking for. All right. But let me grab in my next scripture real quick. Got a couple more. We're going to squeeze up out of here. All right. This is Jeremiah 50:3. It says, for out of the north there cometh up a nation against her. All right. And we still talking about Babylon being taken. All right. But that land up out of the north is talking about Russia again. All right. So it says, for out of the north there shall come a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall depart, both man and beast. Now, not going too far into all of this, but, you know, one of the crazy things about this is, you know, people will be like, oh, well, Russia's not in the north. You got to think about where it's talking about, you know, in America. It's not too many places north of America. All right. You got Canada, but, you know, Canada is one of their allies, in which, you know, the scriptures say all they that bend at the bow stand around about it and shoot at her. You know, all her allies are going to come against her. But nevertheless, one of the shortest, not to say one of the shortest, but almost one of the shortest ways, really, yeah, the shortest way to hit all of America from Russia is going over the North Pole. All right. Now, Russia is very close to America when you go like to the furthest eastern part of Russia, which is like literally not even like Sarah Palin wasn't tripping when she said she could see Russia from her backyard. You know, Russia is closer to America than America is to Cuba. Cuba is like only 90 miles off of the coast of Florida. Right. So Russia's, I believe, only like 50 miles off the coast of Alaska. Right. So nevertheless, they could, you know, shoot missiles that way and hit certain places. But, you know, they still have to go, you know, you can hit Alaska, no problem. But to go over from Alaska through Canada and try to hit the rest of America, they can hit Hawaii as well, too. But that would be a far away. The closest range for them to hit America is going straight over the North Pole. So Russia would launch northward from their position. They would be shooting missiles north from them. All right. And then the missiles will rain down over here in America. They're going to be coming from the northern direction over the North Pole, from the North Pole coming down south from the north. All right. So, yeah, that's the north country from America. All right. It says, for out of the north there cometh up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast. All right. Let me jump down to verse. I'll read from verse 8. It says, remove out of the midst of Babylon, and go forth from out of the land of the Chaldeans, and be as the he-goats before the flock. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country. Now, we just read about this in multiple things. That's why the scriptures say precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. All right. You can't just read it straight all the way down because, you know, prophecies sometimes change up on certain things. All right. But nevertheless, you know, well, here in Jeremiah, 49, you know, a lot of not a lot, but a piece of Jeremiah 49, pretty much all of Jeremiah 50 and all of Jeremiah 51 is all talking about the destruction of America. All right. Through in World War III by thermonuclear missiles, mainly led by Russia. All right. But as we can read these things, we just read about this big conglomeration of nations. All right. That's going to come and destroy America in Ezekiel 38. All right. Preparing for war. Now we read over here in Jeremiah. All right. The same thing from the north country. And then this assembly of great nations. All right. Coming to destroy America. It's all saying the same thing. All right. Going back to the article. What are you reading about? Joseph Stalin, the USSR, Adolf Hitler, Nazi Germany. All right. These are all things that happened in World War II, World War II's times. All right. Going back to Ezekiel 38, putting the hooks back into the jaw. You seeing Russia being raised back up. Now you're talking about all these things again. You just looking at the signs going on. If the truth wasn't here, right, you just looking at all these things. A wise man could be like, damn, we look at the conditions is looking like we going back into that World War state of mind, man. All right. Jeremiah 50:9 again. For lo, I will raise and the cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country. They shall set themselves in array against her. All right. And that's who Russia's main enemy is right now. From thence, all right, going back into those ICBM missiles. All right. So this is that north country, which is Russia. All right. It says from Russia, basically, the north country is going to be taken. All right. Well, the country is going to be taken. Well, really, America is also a north country, but America is going to be taken from the country that north country, which is the land of the Medes, or the land of Gog and Magog, all right? But from that position, America's going to be taken, all right? They're not going to come up in, they will come over here, but they're not going to really come up in America like that and bomb America from being on the inside. They're not going to bring the war over here and just be bombing you over here, all right? But there will be an invasion here in America as well, too, all right? It says, for lo, I will cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrow shall be as a mighty man, and none shall return in vain. They're going to all be smart missiles, all going to hit their targets, and they're going to be, launched from over there to over here. All right, ICBM missiles, these high-tech missiles, all right? Let me just jump down a little bit. Verse 14. Well, I'll go to 13. Because the wrath of Yahawah, it shall not be inhabited, talking about Babylon or America. But it shall be wholly desolate. Everyone that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at all her plagues. All right. Now, this is the end all be all, the end result of World War III. All right. After America's destroyed, it's going to be turned into a land of barren and desolate. All right. Verse 14. Put yourselves in array against Babylon. Round about, all ye that bend the bow, shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she have sinned against Yahawah. So every nation that has these missiles, these thermonuclear missiles and so on and so forth, they're going to all take their missiles and they're going to all shoot every last missile at America. All right. And every last one of them going to touch down over here in America. All right. Verse 15, shoot against her round about and give her her hand. So like shoot against her round about. She have given her hand. Her foundations are fallen. Her walls are thrown down, for it is the vengeance of Yahawah. Take vengeance upon her as she have done unto her, as she have done, do unto her. Let me jump down a little bit. Verse 25. Yahawah hath opened his armory and have brought forth the weapon of his indignation, which are those ICBM thermonuclear missiles. All right. For the work of Yahawah of hosts is in the land of the Chaldeans. So the Most High put the spirit on these, the scripture say, created the smith that bloweth the coals, that bring forth the weapons of his indignations, of his indignation. Talking about what's his name, Einstein and Oppenheimer, when they made basically the nuclear weapon, nuclear bomb. All right, and talking about somebody become death and the destroyer of nations. Yeah, you are, like the scripture say, death and hell follow them. All right. Verse 26. Come against her from the uttermost borders, open her storehouse, cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly, let nothing be left. All right. Let me just keep reading on down. It says, slay all her bullocks, let them go down to the slaughter. Woe unto them, for their day is come, the time of their visitation. The voice of them that flee and escape out of the land of Babylon, to declare in Zion the vengeance of Yahawah of our power, the vengeance of his temple. Call together the archers against Babylon. All ye that bend the bow, camp against it round about, and let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her works, according to all she have done, do unto her. She have been proud against Yahawah, against the Holy One of Israel. Therefore shall her young men fall in the streets, and all her men of war shall be cut off in the day of Yahawah. It says, behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud, saith Yahawah of hosts, for the day is come, in the time I will visit thee. And the most proud shall be stubble and fall, and none shall raise up, and I will kindle a fire in the cities, and it shall devour all round about. So just quickly going through all of that. All right, it's talking about the Most High's plan is to raise up the king of the Medes, these Russians. All right, like he was talking about Ezekiel 38, to bring war against America. All right, and make her wholly desolate. Damn it. All right, I'm gonna close out here in Jeremiah 51. All right, this is Jeremiah 51:28. It says, prepare against her the nations with the king of the Medes, the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the lands in his dominion. All right, going back into what? Ezekiel 38, raising up the king, Gog and Magog, putting them hooks back into the jaw. All right, and the king of the Medes, the Lord has put the spirit on the king of the Medes to basically come up against America. All right, verse 29, and the land shall tremble and sorrow, for the purpose of Yahawah shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon desolate and without inhabitants. All right, so this is the Most High's plan for America. All right, to make it completely desolate and without inhabitants. All right, with what? His weapons of indignation. All right, the thermonuclear missiles was created to take America off the face of the earth, and who's going to use it? It's going to be headed by Russia. All right, and a conglomeration of nations. Going to bring them back to a Soviet Union times. All right, they're going to get that so-called payback. All right. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They remain in their holes. The might have failed. They have become as women. They have burned her dwelling places. Her bars are broken. All right, and this is kind of the state that these Americans are coming into now. They already letting you know that there's no way they can defend themselves against these hypersonic missiles, a lot of Russia's new technology and stuff like that. All right, but what, when they finally fully get into this here state and they realize they allies and left them and so on and so forth, and they know that they're pretty much done for, they're gonna be afraid. But what, they're gonna, hey, also when the chariots come, they're gonna be afraid, but they durst fight, man. The Most High is gonna really put their ass on the goddamn hook and line and bring their ass into the damn destruction, man. All right, verse 31, and one shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another, and to show the king of Babylon that the city is taken at one end. And the passages are stopped at the reeds. They have burned with fire, and the men of war are frightened. So this is going to be the end all be all, and this is what you're starting to see the shape up of all these things. All right, these are the things that's coming to pass. These are the prophecies that are set forth to start coming up. All right, you're gonna see more and more of these things. All right, so when you start seeing these here signs of Stalin, what your boy name is, Hitler, the USSR, Nazi Germany, and all these different things, going back to World War II and all these different things, man. When you start hearing about these things, these are the buildups of what? These here final prophecies coming to pass, man. This is what it's talking about, like when the scriptures say, learn the parable of the fig tree. All right, when you see these things come to pass, you know that basically salvation is nigh. It's at the door. All right, salvation is nearer than what you believe, man. Look up, for salvation is near. All right, and this is what our job, again, this is what our job is to do, to warn you and give you these here prophecies, give you these here warnings, letting you know time is running out, man. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, this here lesson was edifying into the elect. All right, and also to mention, just keep your eyes peeled for these certain things, man. You got to understand and wonder why certain articles and stories and things like that are being brought out. You know, most of these things do have meanings or deeper spiritual meanings. All right, and it's for the elect. All right, these are all warnings to be warning our people, to let you know what the time frame is. All right, we don't know the day or the hour, but we can measure the time diligently and see where we at. All right, so with that, I'm gonna go ahead and close out. Lord willing, this here was edifying into the elect. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahawah, Bahashim, YAHAWASHI, Bahashim, Rachakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, arcing and pushing this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong and shalom.